Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome back to the channel. Today is March 31st, which means we are one day away from April, and subsequently, this month is the 2026 NFL entry draft. So I thought, what a better time than to recap the first stage of the offseason for your Seattle Seahawks in 2026 by recapping the Seahawks' entire free agency period. Without me rambling on too much more in the intro, let's get into recapping Seahawks free agency for 2026. If you like this video, please consider giving a like. It lets me know if I'm doing a good job with these videos or not. And if you'd like to, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more Seahawks future content. That would be greatly appreciated. Who did the Seahawks lose in free agency? Well, if you know this channel, you will realize that I have done reaction videos to 6 days of free agency, the first week of free agency for the Seahawks when they did have these signings or departures, but I'm going to go through it here. Running back, MVP, Super Bowl MVP for Super Bowl 60, Kenneth Walker goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the first domino to fall. $43.05 million for the next 3 years, $14.3 million per year. And this one is a punch in the gut still. Even after 2 weeks of realizing that Kenneth Walker has left the Seahawks, he's now on the Chiefs. My heart still kind of breaks a little bit seeing that he is a departure from this team. He is a fantastic running back. I think he is a great addition to this team. He put up his best season this year in a contract year. That's why he's getting $43 million for the next 3 years. That's insane. I'm glad he got his bag, and he's definitely going to be missed on offense as one of the starters leaving the Seattle Seahawks. The next up is safety Kobe Bryant going to the Bears, another starter for us. $40 million, 3 years, $13.3 million per year. And when you look at that, this one for me was the biggest punch in the gut of them all. I was quite sad because Kobe Bryant has been the Robin to Julian Love's Batman for the past like 3 seasons here. And it sucks to see him go. It sucks to see Kobe Bryant go because he's a hell of a player, man. I love me some Kobe Bryant ever since he joined the Seahawks as a corner and then made the transition to safety. He's been a much better player. He's earned himself, I think, that amount of money. And it really sucks for me because I thought John Schneider was going to re-sign Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant did post on his story before signing with the Bears that he had interest in staying with the Seahawks. And he even posted, John Schneider pointing and said, that was kind of like a cryptic kind of social media post where us Seahawks fans got excited and went, "Oh, is he going to come back? Does that mean he's signing a contract with John Schneider right now?" And then he goes to the Bears. We all cry for a couple days, and this one sucks, but I think he's going to be a fantastic part of the Bears secondary for a team that really needs help at the safety position, especially. I think Kobe Bryant's going to anchor them in this department, and I wish him all the best. Then we get to edge rusher Boya Mafe going to the Bengals, $60 million for 3 years, $20 million of that per year. And for me, if you watched any of my instant reaction videos to free agency, I think this was day 3, and I looked at this and went, "Oh my God, that's a lot of money for Boya Mafe." And don't get me wrong, I think Boya Mafe is a fantastic edge rusher, and he does deserve to get his bag after a Super Bowl win. But one of the things I was not too fussed about this loss, and I'll tell you why real quick. Boya Mafe, this season in particular, as I was watching every single game and recapping every single game for you guys, I will tell you that Boya Mafe didn't really stick out to me, at least on paper or during the games. He didn't really have any of those big splash plays that we came to expect in the past from him, even last season. And I'll tell you why. I think it's because of the way Mike McDonald likes running his edge packages. He's got four very talented edge rushers at his disposal that won him Super Bowl 60 this year. They include Derek Hall, who's had a very good, productive last couple of seasons. You've got Demarcus Lawrence, and then you've got Uchenna Nwosu, who's also very sneaky, and then you've got Boya Mafe, who is no slouch in his own right. With those four guys, they needed to have a rotation in place, and it became Derek Hall and Demarcus Lawrence on that like first kind of rep kind of guys that you would see the majority of the time on the field at edge, and then you see Uchenna Nwosu get in there when Derek Hall went out. So Boya Mafe didn't have that many. I think his snaps were cut down a little bit this year, and in a contract year, he was going and he realized that the writing was on the wall. He needed to probably go somewhere else. He was going to get the bag somewhere else, and he did with the Bengals. And now he's going to become a true number one edge rusher starter for them in the AFC. So good luck to him. We've got cornerback Riq Woolen going to the Eagles, $15 million 1 year. And this was the easiest out of all to talk about because we all knew, I think, as Seahawks fans, that Riq Woolen wasn't coming back. This season solidified it for me when he got benched in the beginning of the season in favor of Josh Jobe, who did resign with the Seahawks this year. I think one of the big things with Riq Woolen was he has, and I said this in the video, he has all the measurables, he has all the athletic ability, he has all the right stuff that you want to see in a superstar corner. He's got the height. He's 6'4". He's got the wingspan of a Greek god. He has a very high competitive motor when he wants to be motivated, and he can do a lot of great things. We saw in his first year in Seattle, he was putting up like Richard Sherman type numbers, man. Like Seattle fans, myself included, were like, "Oh my god, is this guy gonna be like one of the best Seahawks corners of all time?" Ever since his rookie season with Pete Carroll, he started slowly declining. We started seeing cracks. We started seeing him not do so many great things that he did in his rookie season. He started taking undisciplined penalties. He started getting burned a lot more than we would typically see. And ever since Mike McDonald came in and switched the system up, Riq Woolen kind of sunk, for lack of a better word, in his system. And I think this year, in a contract year, was the final straw for Riq Woolen because he did, again, get benched for Josh Jobe for the majority of that first half of the season. For the Eagles, I said this in the video, I'm going to say it again. You're getting a reclamation project. You're getting a guy who moved from a man-to-man system into his own system, didn't really do much there. But if you can get Riq Woolen back into that man coverage style that he can play very well, then you're probably gonna have a very good return on this 1 year investment deal in Riq Woolen, and you could see him getting a big pay raise and getting more potential out of him than he has the last 3 years as a Seattle Seahawk. I wish him all the best because I do love Riq Woolen, man, but we knew that Riq Woolen probably wasn't going to be back with Seattle, and I wish him all the best in the Eagles organization because I know that if anybody's going to get that true rookie season Riq Woolen form back out of this guy, it's going to be Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now we got another corner in Tyler Hall. He is a free agent. He was a cap casualty and he gets released. Not much to say about him. And then we've got wide receiver Derek Young going to the Raiders. His contract, its details have still not come out. I looked everywhere for it. I even delayed this video for about 2 weeks to try and get all these stats and all the contracts right for you guys, and still couldn't find any information. So when you look at Derek Young, he is a guy that was a very good special teamer, very good kick returner, and special teamer for us, was buried under this depth chart. So he gets moved to the Raiders. I wish him all the best, and I can't wait to see what he does for the Raiders in the next year. But in terms of Seahawks losses, a lot of people online were mad at John Schneider over the past week or so. And they were saying oh, I'm mad because Kenneth Walker left. I'm mad because Kobe Bryant left. I'm mad because Boya Mafe left. I'm mad because Rick Woolen left. Look at all these guys that we lost. We really lost this first part of free agency in the offseason. We didn't really do much. And to them, I would say, relax. For me as a Seahawks fan, yeah, I got emotional and a little ticked off that Kenneth Walker left. I got a little emotional and ticked off when Kobe Bryant left or Boya Mafe left. But I knew that because we had won a Super Bowl, that we were going to lose key pieces to this offense or our defense for that matter. To see that there are only a couple guys that have left this team that were starters or backups. The only two starters I see that the Seahawks have truly lost from their 2025-2026 roster is Kenneth Walker on the offense and Kobe Bryant on the defense. That's two main starters. Yes, they were huge pieces. They were huge pieces. I'm not denying that. But John Schneider knows how to draft running backs like the back of his hand. We've seen that. Guys like Chris Carson. We've seen other guys in that field. He knows how to get guys in the building and working in a tandem system. Look at Zach Charbonnet. Now I know he's injured, but you look at Zach Charbonnet and look at him, he's a prime example of a guy that I think could work really well in a tandem. So I'm not too worried about the running back situation. For Kobe Bryant, I think that the Seahawks are very good at taking guys you have never heard of in your life. Be honest with me here. How many of you Seahawks fans knew Ty Okada was even this good before this season? I certainly didn't. I thought he was a special teamer and a backup at best. Ty Okada came in this season when Julian Love was injured, and he played really, really well. So I'm not surprised if they take Ty Okada next year and go, oh yeah, we could just plug Ty Okada in to our system, to the Mike McDonald system, and he'll play just fine. It'll be plug and play. We'll be okay. So I'm not too worried about it. For the other guys in Boya Mafe and Rick Woolen, those guys I would consider rotational players. So you're losing rotational players. I just went over. Boya Mafe was the fourth best edge rusher on this team out of 4. So the Seahawks can, I think, easily replace him within the draft. I think they're going to go for an edge rusher. That's one of their needs. John Schneider can find an edge rusher in this year's edge rushing class, along with Rick Woolen. Yes, we don't have many corners. John Schneider, he did bring in some guys from this free agency pool that could turn into corners that we use, and you'll see it and you'll go, holy crap. Noah Igbenogany, for example, could really turn out to be a really good stud and replace a Rick Woolen. So I'm not too worried about who the Seahawks lost. I still think the Seahawks did a pretty damn good job here in free agency, even if they didn't bring in many huge names. As we move on to the next, who stays a Seahawk and who's retained on this team, it's going to be a long list. Josh Jobe at the top, $24 million, 3 years, $8 million per year. That is a sweetheart deal. Holy God. I think Josh Jobe has proven himself to be a very vital piece to this team. And again, I'm going to bring it up. He was basically the de facto starter for the beginning of the season until Mike McDonald decided, okay, Reek, let's see if you've learned your lesson and you can get back in there. But I think Josh Jobe, this is a fantastic contract. I love this contract. We move on to Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver, keeping him around. $51 million, 3 years, $17 million per year. That is where the Kenneth Walker money went. For any Seahawks fan that is annoyed that Kenneth Walker left in free agency and we didn't pay Kenneth Walker, that's where his money went. Rashid Shaheed, that was our big free agency key. And with Rashid Shaheed, he is a fantastic addition. He was a fantastic mid-season addition for this team. And now that he's back, in the Pacific Northwest for another 3 years with Sam Darnold. He's just gonna get better. I have a feeling that speedster is gonna be just as insane as he was in 2026. His ability in the punt and return kicking game is insane. He made Jay Harbaugh look like a genius. Jay Harbaugh loves this guy, and I'm so happy Rashid Shaheed is back here because that's a huge keep for us. We also got O lineman Josh Jones, $4 million for 1 year. That's not too bad either. I love Josh Jones. I think when Charles Cross went down with an injury for a couple games there during the season, Josh Jones did prove that he is a reliable backup. He is a guy that can come in and play for this O-line and play well in a backup role. So I'm happy with keeping Josh Jones at that kind of number. We got long snapper Chris Stoll. He's sticking around, 2.905 for 2 years, $1.145 million per year. He's a long snapper. He's sticking on the team for another couple of years. Great to see. Not much else to talk about with him, but it's always nice to keep the whole special teams unit together. A fan favorite wide receiver, Jake Bobo, $5.5 million for 2 years, $2.75 million per year. He had a tender qualifying offer. The Jaguars tried to scoop him up from us, and John Schneider went, no, hold my beer. We're keeping Jake Bobo. Screw you, Jacksonville. And for me, that is a lot of money for Jake Bobo, in my opinion, but he does a lot of things on this team that I don't think a lot of Seahawks fans even realize because it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. He is one of the best run blocking wide receivers that we have on this team besides Cooper Kupp. Like this guy, when he gets on the field, if he's not catching a pass, which he usually doesn't, he does catch some passes, but he's not there for that. He's there to be a special teamer, and he is there to be a third receiver that they can bring in and use as a pass blocker or a run blocker rather when he needs to be. So I love me some Jake Bobo. Glad he is back for another 2 years. We got safety. AJ Finley spent the majority of the time injured last season, but he signs up $1.075 million, 1 year deal, backup safety, and good special teamer. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and we'll see what he does in training camp to try to make this 53-man roster. We've got fullback / tight end Brady Russell, $4.8 million contract for 2 years, $2.4 million per year. I love Brady Russell. I think he is one of the most ultimate hype guys in that locker room. He's like a glue guy. He's one of those guys where he's going to hype up the team. He's going to keep that kind of camaraderie, and he plays really well on special teams. I love seeing Brady Russell come back to the team. Let's get to DT. Brendan Pilley, $2 million for 1 year. Very, very good deal. Brendan Pilley does not get a lot of snaps on defense, but when he does at the nose tackle position to take over for Byron Murphy for a couple drives, he can make some pretty big plays. I don't remember if he had a safety this year. But I'm pretty sure he did. Someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But Brendan Pilley is a stalwart at nose tackle. Good to see him back. Some veteran depth. We got cornerback Shamir Jean Charles, 1 year contract. His deals are yet to come. I tried to find his contract, and that didn't really work out. But he's just a practice squad guy. He spent the majority of 2025, 2026 on the practice squad, and he's just depth for us. Plus, he could be a special teamer, and maybe with Reek Woolen's spot opening up on the roster, maybe he can try to make this 53-man roster when it comes to training camp this year. We got linebacker Chaz Surratt on a 1 year contract. His details are yet to come, but Chaz Surratt is a guy from formerly a 49er, came onto this team and played a majority of his time on special teams. He is a special teams demon. He is a very good tackler for this team, so glad to have him back. We get wide receiver Cody White on another contract, $1.145 million for 1 year. Cody White, a very good special teamer, and he is a fifth or sixth receiver on this Seahawks depth chart. He is a very good player and made a couple of catches. He reminds me a lot of like Jake Bobo in a sense. So I think this is a decent retention from the Seattle Seahawks. And then it's not a retention necessarily, but I thought I would put wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba. This is the big ticket item. He is extended with the Seahawks $168.6 million for the next 4 years, $42.15 million per year, $69.13 million is guaranteed on that contract. So when you look at what John Schneider did in terms of losses and in terms of retention, that's why in every video that I made 2 weeks ago, when free agency was kicking off and I was doing the news and reports and things like that, I was saying in the videos, trust the process of John Schneider. He knows what he's doing, man. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion executive, and he's a very good GM when it comes to managing personnel like this. So look at all the retentions. That's a lot of guys coming back this season from the Super Bowl 60 run. So I am very happy with what John Schneider has done so far in free agency. The signings, the outside signings. Welcome to Seattle. Let's welcome first safety Rodney Thomas the second from the Colts, $1.4 million for 1 year. Rodney Thomas. Now, I didn't know about this name. I did not watch a lot of Colts football last year. I am sorry about that, Colts fans, but I did tiny bit of research on him, and I realized that through stats and through, his draft, that Rodney Thomas is a 7th-round pick, guys. He's a 7th-round pick. He is a special teamer, and he's got a couple interceptions to his name. He's a pretty darn good tackler, known by the stats. And I think this is a guy that we as Seahawks fans will really need to watch out for when it comes to finding a replacement for Kobe Bryant, because it's either going to be Ty Okada, it could be Rodney Thomas, or it could be another guy. We'll see. So I do like this signing. I think 1.4, that's a prove it deal, and we'll see what happens when he's plugged into the Mike Macdonald system on defense, because as long as you buy into Mike Macdonald's system, again, he's going to take guys that you've never heard of before and turn them into absolute animals. Next, we got the best signing, I believe, or one of the best signings, I believe, by Seattle. It's running back Emmanuel Wilson from the Packers. $2.1 million, 1 year. It's another 1-year contract. And I like this. I really do. I think when people, when the Seahawks fans realize that, Kenneth Walker, that's it. He's gone. He's gone. We need to look at our running back room. And then we went, oh, wait. Zach Charbonnet is also injured with an Achilles tear that he suffered, or an ACL tear that he suffered in the divisional round of the playoffs this year against the 49ers. Who do we have at running back? Well, we have George Holani, we have Kenny McIntosh, and we have Jacardier Wright. Oh, that's not great. Some guys that are kind of unproven. I don't know what's happening. We need to sign a running back. And then John Schneider's like, okay, you want a running back? Here, let me get Emmanuel Wilson, who is 230 pounds and will be able to run people through the dirt. This guy, if you didn't catch up with any Packers football this season, I saw some of his highlights and I saw some of the comments that John Schneider made on public radio, and he did say, this guy's style of running is, I'm going to run through you kind of thing. He is a big boy. He is a very powerful runner, and he reminds me a lot of what Zach Charbonnet does, except Zach Charbonnet, I think, is going to be more, he can run inside, he can run outside. No, Emmanuel Wilson is just going to run in between the tackles and try to pull you over and get in that short yardage situation. And considering the Seahawks like to use a tandem running back system, I think for the majority of the season until Zach Charbonnet gets back, which it looks like he might, like, there's no concrete timetable on when Zach Charbonnet will be back, but we know that he's going to be back this season. It might be mid-season. So we're going to probably have to rely on Emmanuel Wilson, and we're going to have to rely on George Halani, or if the Seahawks are so bold, they'll probably take a running back in the draft and try to have a 3-horse race for who's going to take a spot in this lineup for the Seattle backfield. We'll just have to see. But I love this signing. I like Emmanuel Wilson. I think he was a very good complement to Josh Jacobs when he was in Green Bay, and he'll be that, I think, here in Seattle. We get to safety, D'Anthony Bell. He was with the Panthers. He got picked. Well, he was with the Seahawks for the majority of the season until week 14, until the Panthers rather picked him up off of waivers. Anthony Bell, we know he is a special teams guy, and if you don't know as a Seahawks fan, I'll just tell you outright, he's a special teams guy. He is a guy that you will see on special teams. He is a guy that now that Kobe Bryant is no longer on the team, will be probably in the running for that open, strong safety position. So keep an eye out for him in training camp. And then I think this is a very underrated signing for the last signing that I'm going to talk about from the external side. It's cornerback Noah Igbenogany from the Commanders, played the last 2 seasons of his career there with the Commanders, $1.81 million for 1 year. And Noah Igbenogany is a guy that I think is going to be very, very interesting to watch. He's a former first-round pick from 2020 of the Miami Dolphins. He played a couple of seasons there with them and then swapped over to the Commanders. And from my perspective, because I don't know much about Noah Igbenogany, because I'm not a fan of the Commanders or I'm not a fan of the Dolphins, I'm relying on what I have heard about him, which is he is a corner that can play nickel, and he's a corner that can play outside. So, if you don't like Josh Jobe on the outside, then you can put Noah Igbenogany in there, because I know Noah Igbenogany can play on the outside, because that's how he got his start with the Dolphins as a former first-round pick. So I am very optimistic about the John Schneider signings of outside free agents. I know they're not the big names. They're not, they're not the Trey Hendricksons. They're not they're not some of the big names that we saw go off the board in the early days of free agency. But I think the biggest thing is you need to trust the coaching staff. They are a Super Bowl winning coaching staff for a reason. Mike McDonald loves his defensive guys that buy into his system. For the offensive side, we have a new offensive coordinator, Brian Fleury, who is going to come in, and he's from the 49ers. He's from the Kyle Shanahan tree. He's not going to, mess up the whole offense. He's not going to run a whole new offense. He's going to run kind of the exact same offense that Clint Kubiak did run last year, but with a few extra wrinkles. So I'm excited to see what happens on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm excited to see what happens on the defensive side of the ball, considering the plug and play that's going to happen there. But I'm really excited. I think they did an adequate job in free agency. I think if I had to rank them on a letter scale, S being the best that they could ever do, and then F being the worst, I would probably rank them at a C. I like the moves that they made on external free agents, even though they're not extremely big names. But the biggest thing that's keeping their letter grade at a C, at a very average level, is the fact that they kept a majority of the special teams unit from last year, and they kept other key pieces of this roster. Now they just have to do the plug and play, and that's what free agency is for, and that is exactly what the draft is for. Going into his 3rd season, Mike McDonald is going to have John Schneider probably pick guys that are going to fit well within the Seahawks organization and culture. I just have a very good feeling about it, and I'm really excited for the 2026-2027 season so that people can realize, the Seahawks fans that are mad at John Schneider right now can realize that, hey, all that complaining or all that nervous energy and anxiety that you had about free agency being terrible is not as bad as it seems. Anyways, that is it for this video. What do you think about the Seahawks free agency period? Are you underwhelmed by this free agency period? Are you happy with the moves that were made? Are you not happy? I would like to know everybody's opinion down in the comment section down below. Anyways, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go Hawks, go. And I'll see you in the next video.